On Power FM on a Monday. Today is December 5, 2022, and it's days to the election, the 81st day about the countdown to the election. So in 81 days' time, by now we'll be voting who will be our next president. On our lineup this morning, federal government states claim blame over rising poverty rate. Three presidential candidates swear in a television interview. Atiku, Obi, and Kwankwaso, why Tinubu stayed out and is scheduled to speak in Chatham House, London today. INEC office in Olu burnt down. The seventh attack on INEC facility in 4 months. Gombe Bauchi contest in a duel over who is the rightful owner of the Komani oil field. All these are more we hope to give you today. Let's welcome my colleagues. Abulu is there, Mustafa Mohammed is there, and of course, Tevetiav is all here. Let's start with the federal government state trading blame. Now, they have accepted and they have agreed that there is a problem with poverty. That poverty is high in Nigeria. What they have not agreed is who's responsible. Federal government says it's state. State says no, it's federal government. So what they have also agreed without knowing is that they have accepted that they have failed. And as they need, whether they have accepted that and agreed on that, they need to change our expenditure, our development efforts, to put it in such a way that it will fight poverty, leave people out of poverty, and put them into affluence.
Doctor, 90% of the Nigerian population live in the rural areas. We cannot say for certain that federal government is mostly responsible for the upliftment of people in these rural areas. You see governors with 20 vehicles in their convoy. One serving commissioner told me last night that their own governor hardly spends 3 weeks without traveling out of the country. You take a lot of people, including youth and women of easy virtue, to Mecca and Jerusalem. You pay tax, but in the same villages, in these rural areas, you hardly have functional primary health care. You don't have functional schools. The roads are dilapidated. People don't have drinking water. Now tell me, how will you develop even agriculture and commerce in these places? You have primary schools with dilapidated roofs, children sitting on the bare floor and learning. When a woman is giving birth, no hospital or functional clinic to attend to them. And then these governors will move around with convoys as if nothing is happening. And sometimes you also blame the electorate. You elect people, put them there, but there's no feedback mechanism. You don't ask them about their campaign promises, like the APC that told that they are going to refurbish the old refineries and build new ones. They have not. The second Niger bridge with its own tributary road are still not, there, not functional. The electricity that they so much promise they are going to improve, have not. They spoke about security, corruption. There is no improvement. Okay. The truth of the matter is, yes, the federal government has its own problem, but largely, if you are talking about lack of development and poverty, the governors should carry the cross.
Okay, Abulu, let's situate it very well for our listener to follow. The federal government, through the Minister of State for Finance said the states, instead of building development projects that will really affect development, they are building unnecessary projects, bridges and airports and all that. And the states, jointly, hardly do they come together, except when it comes to issue of money. They will tell you that. But they agreed over the weekend through the Nigerian Governors Forum. They said federal government failed to provide security. Because of that, all the development efforts they put in place, for instance, farming, the citizens couldn't access their funds because of insecurity. That since security is the responsibility of the federal government, and they have failed in providing that, they are the cause of poverty in Nigeria.
Amici, good morning, dear listener. This blame game is what has kept us to where we are. Like the Vice President would say, where were we are? That has kept us here. We keep blaming ourselves, and we don't factor in what really is the cause of the poverty, what is deepening creating crass poverty and deep, what creates deep corruption is what also creates crass poverty. And if you look at it very well, you see that the state government are so, they are so lazy in creating poverty alleviation programs. They depend solely on government, in federal government structures, like what they call SMIDAN, like what they call National Director of Employment, like what they call other agencies like that. They keep narrowing themselves to this federal government initiatives, and they forget that as a state governor, you are responsible to ensure that those dilapidated schools, as Mustafa has mentioned, is under your purview. Those primary healthcare sector is under your purview. But I mentioned one other thing is that the state government has been able to press down the demands of the grassroots by allowing the state and local government joint account to continue. Mr. President mentioned that last week, that some governors take money to local government and they agree to share 50-50. And that is not far from the truth. That is what has caused and make the grassroots persons to suffer this inner poverty.
We'll come to that. There's lots of mails on the issue of local government. We'll address that, but let's welcome Teve.
Amechi, good morning to you.
Teve, let me provide some guide now. The federal government carries out poverty eradication, fighting poverty, the National Social Investment Program. Apart from the institutions Abulu mentioned, trillions of naira have gone into that. From hindsight, it didn't work well because the plan was to lift 10 million Nigerians out of poverty every year. It appears they were putting 10 million Nigerians in poverty. Abulu asked, what is the poverty alleviation program of the states? How many states I don't know how many states that even have any in the first place.
I mean, a number of them are coming up with poverty reduction, or not even, they call it empowerment program because of the elections. In Bauchi State, I know that the governor there recently launched something, Kaura Empowerment something. I know that the Akwa Ibom State, the governor in his 2023 budget presentation also talked about introducing poverty, empowerment programs. River State, where the man recruited how many?
200,000.
He said it was to reduce poverty, create employment, and all of that. And we're seeing this across. They don't, and those civil society people will tell you there are moves towards vote buying, and all of that. But we're beginning to see this. Even in places where flyovers were built and all of that, they're beginning to see that indeed that human capital, that human, it has been lacking, all the while. I mean, we need to address this frontally. Don't forget, even the Obasanjo, the Buhari administration, they came up with the social investment and all of that. At the time, the West, when they wanted to refund the Abacha look, they said, look, these monies must be given directly to the people. So they had to come up with an emergency, or come up with emergency initiatives, going to give people 5,000, 20,000, and things like that. So it was more.
Did they specify that it should be given directly? They said people-oriented projects.
The condition they set for loans is that you must tell them what you are going to use it for. Like pro-people.
Yeah, pro-people-oriented.
Yeah. We are talking not loans. We are talking of the Abacha loan. This is not.
Yes,
and that's what they told us. I said those refunding the money said it should be given directly to the people. They engage civil society. So it was not clearly a thought-through program. If you look at the implementation and all of that, you will see fault lines here and there, and that. And like I keep saying, we are yet to develop the poverty reduction or empowerment program, in Nigeria.
The real poverty
that will drive this. And don't forget when the president said, I will lift 100 million people out of poverty. He said
10 years.
He said, his administration. He did not include the state. If he had consulted the state or got them along, is a different thing. And that is one thing we also need to look at moving forward. 22 of the states, or 21 now, have APC governors. All the states, all the parties have their manifesto. They are going about, and we were waiting for individuals to come up with manifestos and all of that. But the parties themselves have blueprints. We saw that in the West, for instance. the Southwest, when the UPN, the Action Group, and all of that were there. Once you are a governor in any of those Southwest, you know that free education is compulsory. You know that social services are free. And all of that, and across those states.
So those you said 21 APC control states.
Yes.
They were part of those that told President Buhari that you have failed.
Obviously, and don't forget, you would have expected a more louder response to what the president
What
said.
are the other times that they united against the federal government?
When it comes to
state and local government joint account,
joint
local government autonomy,
They forget
Paris Club reform.
They forget party lines. They become comrade governors, colleague governors. Okay, now. Let's quickly jump to the presidential debate yesterday and Tinubu opting out
Town Hall,
to go
presidential
to
town hall.
Chatham House. Presidential town hall, sorry, I beg your pardon. Tinubu opting out to do his own in
Chatham
London.
House.
7 years after Buhari also addressed the Chatham House.
Amici, we have said here severally that some instruments that we have seen that are being accepted by the public should be given legal backing. I know for sure there is an NGO called Nigeria Election Debate Group, and we have said here oftentimes, severally, that instruments, things like the Peace Accord Committee should be given legal backing. So we also advocate that Nigeria Election Debate Group should give it legal backing, and so that they can be seen as an instrument by law to organize debates.
Now that every candidate
must have a number of debates that you participate in. It should be compulsorily included in the Electoral Act, so that we don't have this in and out. I'm not coming, or I'm coming, or I'm not going.
The truth of the matter is, you look at how politicking was conducted in the First Republic. Everybody remembers Abulu, for those who are still alive, flying around in his helicopter, climbing empty barrels, going to rural areas, talking to everybody. There was no debate among the candidates, but I'm telling you, they did wonderfully well as administrators. The economy was good, even though the income was very little, but they were able to, provide infrastructure at their level. Like Southwest education succeeded. Ahmadu Bello created several primary schools and then expanded the provincial schools to 12. Even the middle belt, which economically was not very viable, he used the economy of the income taxation from the other parts of the north to develop part of the north that was not economically viable. If you read, go and read. Let me finish.
Hold on.
It's written in the book. Go and read John Patton and Clark's. I'm not saying this thing offline. Tell me, go and read. I want people to read. I don't want to be debating offhand with anybody. Go and read Clark. He wrote about Tafawa Balewa, and go and read John Patton, Ahmadu Bello, the Sardona of Sokoto. These are scholars of international repute. There's document to show. But finally, what I'm actually saying is that speaking in Chatham House does not mean anything. The voters the candidates need to convince are in Nigeria. As Tinubu, you can tell Nigerians you brought help to bring APC.
Why is it that candidate had also gone outside the country?
It doesn't matter which other candidate goes out. The APC should tell us why the refineries are not working after promises, and why they didn't do
let's bring in
so many other things.
Yes, I mean, clearly you need to understand the political economy of the North way before even now. The middle belt is talking about, every Nigerian knows about the farming, and all of that in these places.
The food basket.
The native authorities then that the northern government, had control over, were taxing farmers to death. This created different
heavy taxation.
Heavy taxation. Different. So you cannot come and tell me that Sardana used resources from another part to develop, places in the northern minorities, claiming that they did not have economies. That is wrong, and we must correct that. You cannot tell me, for instance, tin mining started in Jos. The resources, the royalties that were being paid, where were they paid? Is it not to the
both of you are right. Go to issue of the debate.
Well, this debate is supposed to be.
No, let them come.
Conclude your
both of them are right, and that ends it on the debate.
Yes, the town hall, it's interesting. We've always encouraged, that as much as possible, candidates should, come forward and explain, especially the how, because they've given us the manifesto. Labour Party eventually came up with its own over the weekend, where that is will be formally presented today. So we need to see a number of these things, and listening to them, you also have an idea as to which direction they are expected to go. I'm not even looking at the national. I'm looking at the state level. I'm looking,
more engagement
at that level. Okay. I've seen. In Kaduna, for instance, the Nigerian Labour Congress has invited all the governors, to come and address them. We expect that the Labour Congress, the Labour movement across the states,
all the governors
candidates. Let's go on a break now. When we come back, your mails and other issues arising from it. Stay with us.